Okay, we are live, it tells me. So if you can hear us, if you can see us, say hello in the chat box so we know you are there and we are coming through loud and clear. Give us some love, say hello in the chat box, let us know where you are. Tuning in from today, are you taking a break from doing those tax returns, or have you already smashed it out of the park and you are chilling this January, taking time out to listen to us whilst everyone else is heads down doing those returns? So say hello, just so we know that you're out there and you are listening, in the comments box from whichever platform it is that you might be listening to this on. So whether it's YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn, would love to hear from you. So I can see there's a few people listening, but you haven't said hello yet, so don't be shy. Say hello. Come on, give us some love before we get cracking. So I'm not going to start talking to Rachel until somebody says hi. Thank you, Tim. Thank you very much. Hello to you. I see you're watching on YouTube. So hope you're well. Again, if you're a Facebook user, if you're on Facebook, I won't be able to see your name unless you have clicked on the link above the post to give Facebook your name and address, not name and address, but just name details, so they can tell me who you are. Otherwise, it just says Facebook user about 6 times. So unfortunately, a Facebook user, I don't know your name yet. Click on the link below to let me know who you are. Hello there, JMJ Hartford. Hello there, another Facebook user. Hello there, Kayam Akhtar, Tahir Kelly, FCCA, MCA. A lot of letters there after your name. Okay, so we'll just give it a minute or so before we get going. But otherwise, let me know, are you taking a break from tax returns? Have you already done them? Are you not in the UK? Are you outside the UK and therefore don't have tax returns to worry about? I would love to hear. Let us know. Okay. So today I am very happy to have with me Rachel Martin of StriveX. Now, Rachel has a cracking story. Sorry about that. Just now I'm on the Facebook group. I can see that the Facebook users are indeed Charlie. So hello there, Charlie. Hello to Rhys. Hello there, Sharon. Hello there, Tom. Hello there, Alan. Hello to you, Julie. Thank you all for tuning in today. So today I have with me Rachel Martin of StriveX, and Rachel has a fantastic story to share, which we're going to learn all about, and hopefully you can take some nuggets, as always, away from these lives that I do to help you, to motivate, inspire, and help you on your journey, depending on where you are in your journey as an accounting firm or bookkeeping firm owner. So Rachel hasn't been going long at all, but first and foremost, let me welcome her. Welcome, Rachel.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. And thank you so much for everybody who's joining us in January. We understand.
Absolutely, yeah. Very grateful that you're here, but it's far more interesting than doing tax returns. So, it's worth it. Absolutely worth it. So, Rachel, give us a little bit of background introduction about you, and then we'll take the conversation from there.
Amazing, of course. Yeah. So hi, everybody. My name is Rachel, and I do lots of different things. So I am the founder of Accountant She, which is the punny, funny, pink, fluffy, happy accountancy personal brand that I have built. So I mentor other practice owners. I work with lots of entrepreneurs to gain funding and finance through angel investment and venture capital. So I've competed in the global venture capital investment competition and placed 3rd in the world. I've written a book, I've done a TED talk, and I do great things on social media. So anything from Instagram all the way through to YouTube. And then I have been able to leverage that personal brand and use that to grow the accountancy practice, which I run. It's our wonderful chartered accountancy practice, which I run with my future husband. So we are life partners and business partners. And spoiler alert by the title of this video, we have scaled from 50 clients up to 400 and don't have any plans to slow down. So I'll leave it there. I don't want to spill the tea in the first 5 minutes, so I'll let you interrogate me from here.
Fantastic. Amazing. Well, I didn't realize that you have so many strings to your bow. So great to hear that already at what seems like a very young age, you've achieved a hell of a lot. So fantastic. Well done to you. So today we want to delve a bit deeper into the growth that you've had in your accounting firm. So
Yeah.
talk to us a little bit about that in terms of when you set up, I believe it was only 18 months ago that you set up your practice. What does your practice look like now? And, what areas do you focus in? How did you go about getting this phenomenal growth of, in just 18 months, growing from nothing to 400 clients? Talk to us a bit about that.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I think it's really easy to like talk about the almost like the Instagram versus reality. So like the Instagram version is, within 18 months, we've gone from setting up a QuickBook advisory profile to we are now the face of the QuickBooks 2022 Bring It On advertising campaign. And that's phenomenal. And I think the really important thing to say is during the last 18 months while I've been growing the business, I've actually been studying for my master's degree. So I've done an MBA, which is a master's in business. And so a lot of the growth that we have had has been very strategic and not accidental. And so I know that you and I are very aligned on putting yourself in front of the right people in the right place at the right time, focusing on niches and then using that to leverage and grow out into other areas. And so for us, our accountancy practice, we don't have a niche. We definitely have little like subgroups of clients who are all matched and work very well together. So like anything from builders and plumbers and electricians all the way through to huge influencers, influencer agencies, OnlyFans people. So we really do have a huge mixture. In terms of niching, because I know you'll definitely want to come onto it. So in terms of building my personal brand, I, as an individual, niched quite quickly. So from day one, I specialized in working with female entrepreneurs and influencers. I really spotted a gap in the market of people who, firstly, are very self-sufficient and want to be able to do everything themselves. And you'll understand yourself, like when you have an online presence, you do everything. Like you are the lighting department, the sound department, the tech department. You are working behind the scenes doing a million different things, and actually people only see one thing. And so I really wanted to help those individuals to be self-sufficient and do a lot of it themselves, but also be there when they needed it. And so from the very beginning, I niched into the influencer market, and that's specifically where I wanted to target. But from there, it really grew into a lot of the personal brand, a lot of my presence on social media is actually just me. And I think our USP and what we really go for, and actually what has now become our niche, is people who are looking for an accountant that doesn't take themselves too seriously. Like we do a really serious job, but it's 2022 and like the world of business is changing. And I think the pandemic had a huge impact on that. So the business world went from people in boardrooms in suits to actually young women setting up Instagram accounts and it blowing up and becoming their full-time job. And so I'd say our niche now is actually just people that want somebody that feels and looks like them and that they can speak to like a real person and that they aren't afraid to ask questions and get really great advice. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. So you said you didn't have a niche, but then you talk about some of the niches that you do have. So maybe you do have a few niches. I guess it's just terminology. But talk to me about, so how did you, because everybody wants to know the holy grail in terms of how to win new business. So talk to me about the things that you did, practically speaking, that others could take inspiration and encouragement from, in terms of what did you actually do to grow your business in the early days? I guess it's still early days, it's only 18 months in. What did you do? What are you doing? And what is the biggest source of referrals to you that then turn into clients?
Yeah, of course. So we are very, very proud of the fact that our number one source of referral is recommendation. And it is our underlying business goal for that always to be the case. It's okay getting clients, but actually if those clients wouldn't refer you, then there's a problem. And so we're very proud to have our number one referral source is recommendation. Number two is Instagram. Instagram has been insane for us. And I know there's lots of different camps, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram. We actually try and use all three evenly, repurposing content, mainly to just try and make the most of your time as a business owner, repurposing lots of content, posting it on multiple platforms. So social media has done insane things for us. And I mean really, really insane. And I would underpin the strategy behind social media has impacted a huge amount of our success over the last 18 months. And I'd say second to using social media, my top tip would be, as a small practice owner, you need to remove the barriers to entry for people being able to contact you and speak to you. So we just had it this week. We needed a plumber. And I, as a potential customer of a plumber, like, my actual requirements are quite low. I just need somebody who can do the job. What I'm actually responding to is who is messaging me back, who can come the fastest, who's got the right parts. And so it's really important, no matter what your niche, to understand your customer like inside and out, and to understand, if I am a builder or a plumber or electrician, my priority is going to be just getting the job done, probably like maybe at the lowest price. Or if I'm a growing and scaling business owner, I need to know that that accountant can be with me for the next 10 years, not just the next 10 months. And so whoever your potential customer is, you need to understand them inside and out, and actually be on the social media platform that they are on, be producing content that they need. But then once you've got them in your pipeline, and they, like, the first step of any business pipeline is awareness. So use social media to get the awareness. Then when you've got them, you need to remove the barriers to them becoming a client. So what software are you using to let them book a meeting with you really easily? What software are you using to send them information that they need before the meeting? Because us as accountants think it's really easy to have a meeting with an accountant, but your clients find it terrifying. Like, they literally think they're going to be interrogated or asked questions that they don't know the answers to. So put information together telling them, this is how the meeting will go. You don't need to prepare anything, or if you'd like to, you can treat this as a business MOT. Maybe have a look at these things before the meeting and we can talk about them. So number one is use social media to get your potential clients in your pipeline. And then the second top tip is to use your knowledge of that customer to remove every single barrier that is standing in between them becoming a client to you, and know that process inside and out.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. And yeah, I agree wholeheartedly in terms of that. That's really important, because that's the way we come across in those initial touch points is the only perception of value that our prospects have. And if we want to get better prices and higher prices, then we need to increase that perceived value of what we do. And our perceived value comes from what? It's an arbitrary thing. It's a feeling that people have. It's the touch points that we give them. What does essentially it's brand, isn't it? It's about what people say about us when we're not in the room. So how can we kind of build that brand? How can we make it easy for people to get in touch with us, like you say, using software like Calendly, and having questions to detail, what information they need to bring, and making it very easy for them to get in touch with us, to make that experience of something like, as you say, people think that going to their accountant, very serious, they're afraid of it. We think, we're dealing with so many clients, we want so many prospect meetings that, what we just don't think it from their perspective. But actually, we may have many clients, but clients only have one accountant. So for them, it's a big deal. It's a big thing having this meeting with you. So the easier we can make it, the better. So that's great. And thank you for sharing that. So if you are listening, make the most of this live. Don't sit there. Sit there and listen, of course. But if you've got any questions, put it to Rachel now in the comments box, and I will make sure I ask her. So make the most of these live sessions whilst I've got Rachel with me, to ask any questions you like about her growth, so you can take some tangible takeaways from this session. So Rachel, just to delve deeper into your Instagram strategy then, because you said that's a big source of new inquiries for you. What exactly do you do? What kind of content do you put out? How do you know what kind of content to put out? Because, many accountants struggle in terms of, what do we say? How do we go about, posting on social media? What should we post about? Talk to us a bit about that in terms of how you come up with your content strategy for social media.
Yeah, of course. And I think it's so easy when you're viewing content as a consumer to just think that the content people put out is completely random, and it's just based on like what is trending that week or what hashtags they've used, and so much goes into behind the scenes, and it's actually like such a great opportunity to talk about it. So we actually have on Instagram, I have 3 main content pillars. Content pillars are a great way to kind of rein yourself in a little bit. So your first stage, if you've never posted on social media as an accountant, will be like absolute fear, and you'll be terrified. But then when you get over it and you start posting content, you'll want to post content all the time. And actually content pillars can really sort of like rein you in and make sure that actually, if it doesn't fall into one of these 3 categories that I've set out as, and I've built the content pillars based on who my customer is, the problems that they have, and the content they need to see. If my idea for this trending audio doesn't fit into one of those categories, it doesn't go. It's not in line with the brand, the strategy, and who my potential customer is. So if you are feeling a little bit misguided or a little bit all over the place with social media content, having content pillars can be a fantastic way to really make sure that there is strategy behind what you're doing, but also a great way for inspiration. So you can use content pillars one of 2 ways: as a sieve, if you've got too much content and you need to make sure that you're putting the right stuff out, but also if you're at a content block and you don't know what to put out, use those content pillars as inspiration. So what can I put out in this specific sector? So I have one content pillar that focuses specifically on like small business owner pain points. So like when you hit VAT threshold, you have absolutely no idea what to do. Or it's January and everybody's doing their taxes. What content can I put out? Like, what is the small business owner's pain point at this point in the year, at this point in their business? And like, what questions are they answering that I can just give them the answer to without them having to ask? So you can use content pillars in 2 ways: to sieve out if you've got way too many ideas and you feel a bit all over the place, but also you can use it as a way to generate inspiration. And I would also recommend like search for the content that you want to put out there, see what's out there at the moment. I connect with loads and loads of different accountants. I'm sure you do too. Like, it's a great way to expand your network, make some friends along the way, and really see what content other accountants are putting out there, because it works. And so content pillars, firstly, are a fantastic way. There's no rules on too little or too many. Generally less than 5 works well. 3 is a sweet spot, but actually if you're very, very early on and you can only think of 1 or 2, that's okay too. Sticking with the content pillars. Oh, so somebody asked, with content pillars, to see an example of what they could be. Yes. So with my personal brand, I look to do a couple of lots of different things. And so I have 3 different content pillars. The first, as I've already said, is small business owner pain points. And that is to generate traffic from my personal brand into the accountancy practice. My second content pillar is for students that are studying AAT, ACCA. And I do that because one of my personal passions is, when I decided to become an accountant, there was nobody like me. I couldn't relate to anybody. There was nobody as young as me or young females in the industry really generating change and like showing passion for finance. And so if it's not out there, you become it yourself, right? And so I sell merch. I sell punny, funny hoodies and t-shirts that say, don't let people spreadsheet about you and be audit you can be. So I have one content pillar that's all about creating a community surrounding what I do for young accounting students. And then the third pillar, what's the third pillar? Can't remember my third pillar now. We've got small business owners, AAT students, and then we also create content. I can't remember my third one, but there's, anyway, but they're really good examples on what content pillars can be, how you can use them. And I would also say pillar is a very fixed word, but content pillars are very fluid. And so they can change as your business changes. So the third pillar, we change quite frequently to try and keep up to date with what's going on. So you could, in January, focus on tax returns or MTD or getting small business owners ready. And pillar is a very fixed word, but yeah, they can be really fluid as your business grows and changes and your brand grows and changes, as it will do 27 times. You can change your content pillars to grow and flex and niche and like concentrate your content in the specific places, reaching all of the right people.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's so true. And I think one of the key things that you mentioned there was about answering your prospects' questions. And that's a great way of coming up with content as well.
Yeah.
And, books like They Ask You Answer from Marcus Sheridan talk about, how to go about doing that. Just come up with what are the questions that are going through your prospects and clients' minds. If you don't know, then go through your emails for the last 2 months and find out the questions that your clients are asking you most often and create content around that. And that in itself will be highly valuable to your prospective audience as well. And remember, marketing is simply about finding customers who have a problem and getting them to know, like, and trust you. So again, you made the crucial point there about, really getting to know your ideal customer and what their problems are, because people will reach out to us when we can position ourselves as a solution to their problem. People don't like to be in pain. So if we can highlight to them, well, this is the problem you're having and this is the pain it's causing you, and position yourself as a solution, that's how you're going to then generate interest around what you do, get people to follow you, get people to make that initial contact to get in touch with you. So no, that's fantastic. And I guess you have different audiences and different passions. So you're creating content which is aimed at each of those, not just for potential clients for accounting firm, but also the people that you want to inspire, that next generation of accountants that you're really helping. So
I think
there's a couple of other questions coming through from the Appy accountant. She's that tip regarding content pillars. And Tom is asking, apart from Instagram, what other platforms do you use to provide leads?
Yeah, of course. I was actually just going to come onto YouTube, and I was actually going to just reverse quickly back onto content pillars and just say that it's really important to say that content pillars can be different for different platforms. So for example, YouTube content is much longer form content, and you would look to answer a complex question on YouTube, whereas you wouldn't use a 15-second Instagram reel to answer the same question. You can, however, recycle the same question, but answer it in 2 different ways, a quick answer and a short answer. And you could use an Instagram reel that summarizes the answer to the question to drive traffic to the YouTube video, which is a longer answer of the same question. And so our content pillars are different for Instagram than they are to YouTube. So YouTube, for example, our content pillars are answering questions that people within the practice ask us. So that's different. So we're not on Instagram, we're trying to collect new work, because Instagram is a very fast-paced, algorithm-driven platform, which is putting the right content in front of the right people who are asking the questions and have those problems. YouTube is more of a search engine, and you need to focus more on SEO. And so our first content pillar on YouTube is answering the questions that we are asked within the practice, not only because if our customers are asking them, so are our potential customers, but also because if our customers are asking them, we can use YouTube videos to answer the questions. So if I've got a sole trader and I've just done their set of accounts and their profit is actually high enough that it's probably tax efficient for them to be a limited company, I can suggest that to them and say, here's a 10-minute video of me running through what's the difference between being a sole trader and a limited company. I've got another video on how to transition from a sole trader to a limited company. And here's also another video to run through how to review your set of accounts as a business owner. And so the first content pillar that we have on YouTube is long form responses that actually clients love it because they can listen to it again and again and again and again. So we have one video that's how to plan and save for tax. Some clients literally watch it every single month. They've got their QuickBooks up, they work out their profit, they deduct their tax, and they put it into their savings pot by following the video. So the first content pillar is answering the questions that we get asked within the practice, not only to leverage that to save time within the business, having those conversations again and again and again. We can just send them a link to the YouTube video, but we are also capturing the people who are using YouTube as a search engine to search those questions. They hear the answer, they build trust, they decide, actually, this person has answered my question. She's quite nice. She seems quite approachable. And here's a link in the description to the video to book a meeting to become a client. Done. Second content pillar on YouTube is for AAT students and ACCA students. So I do lots of content on which qualifications I've done, how I've got here. I answer the questions that I had when I was doing these qualifications, even something like how much money can I earn as an accountant? What job title will I be able to get when I've done this qualification? Because that's the stuff that's actually really hard to find that I wish I had the answers to. And then the third content pillar on YouTube is the vlog and lifestyle bits, because as the brand grows and grows and grows, more and more people are actually interested in us as people. And there's a very niche sort of financial influencer space on the internet that young accounting students want to see a vlog of what being an accountant during January is like. They really, really, and I needed that content as well. And I think it's really important to say that a lot of the vloggy lifestyle stuff, it's not enough to just read an article or go on LinkedIn to look at what it's like to be an accountant. People want to see it and feel it before they make those decisions. And I love that. And so also for us, that also generates, we've never ever had to pay to hire anybody because we have such an engaged following of young excited, passionate accountants. So the first key takeaway is that your content pillars can be different depending on the platform, because there are different audiences on different platforms. And Tom has asked what platforms aside Instagram provide leads for you. So if you haven't guessed it, YouTube provides us with a lot of leads as well. Again, we get a lot of traffic from videos such as what's the difference between a sole trader and a limited company, how do I transition, how to be the most tax efficient, how to plan a safer tax. These are questions that our potential customers have as well as our current clients. And so answering those questions can be a really, really great way to build up content, post. Somebody's actually asked, there was somebody who said they were scared.
Yeah, so the next question from Susan is, do you do all your posts by video? I've never done one. Any advice? Scares me, says Susan. I hear that a lot. So what tips do you have about getting started on video? And if you can go back to the point where, maybe you were, starting out and just doing your first videos, what was that like? Were you scared? What did you do? What kind of, equipment? What were your first videos like? Because for those who've never done video before, I remember my journey as well. When you're first starting out, it's all a bit of the unknown. So give us some pointers on that, and maybe people can get value for it.
Yeah, of course. I think the best thing, a really good thing to say here is, as accountants, by nature, we are all generally tend to be more on the introverted spectrum. So like my personality type is ISTJ, which is an introvert. And actually, if you enter ISTJ into like a personality test, it tells you that you should become an accountant. So by nature, by us all being here together in the accounting industry, there's quite a high likelihood that you will be introverted, which therefore makes making content, specifically video content, absolutely terrifying. So I would love to talk to you about how to make it easier. You touched on equipment, and I think don't believe the hype. Your iPhone is fine. And you will get to the point where your social media content has generated you enough revenue to buy a good camera or a big podcast mic. Like, you will get there, but don't put barriers in your own way. Like, it's really easy to sit there with no content and think, I've got to have great equipment to make my content great. You make your content great. Like, I have a 5-year-old iPhone, so like, don't let the internet make you feel like you need loads and loads of equipment to make it work. You're selling yourself. People are buying into you. They're not buying into what iPhone you have or what camera you're recording on. And so that would be, let that fill you with confidence. I know it's really cheesy, and I think a lot of people say it, but like, you just have to put stuff out there. Like, my first ever video I put on LinkedIn, and I just quit my job to do the practice, and it was just me talking about lockdown and like what had happened and how we'd got here and what we were trying to do. People love it, and I think being yourself, being honest, is really important. It doesn't happen overnight, and I think it's really easy to watch lives like this with titles like 50 clients to 400 in 12 months and think, well, there's no bloody point because I'm never going to do that. It's really easy to do that, and so it's really important to talk about the reality behind it. And the reality is, we started at 0 to 50 was so much harder than 50 to 400, and starting with 0 social media posts is way harder than starting with 100. And so be kind to yourself. Don't put pressure on yourself. Don't turn off the part of your brain that's worrying what people think of you. I think there's an inherent thing that we do, which is whenever you post social media content, you imagine your worst enemy watching it and like writing a whole list of things they hate about you. Top tip would be to name that part of your brain. So name your like sassy alter ego that like tells you you're bad at things. Name it. And then you can separate it in your brain and say, like, stop, Becky, I'm not listening to you today. I'm posting this reel. And make friends in the industry. Speak to people whose content you love watching and ask them to talk to them. I have so many cups of tea during little lunch breaks with young people or other people who want to start their own practice. Make friends in the industry, reach out to people, and it will suddenly become way less scary. But I promise after you've posted the first one, you'll feel way happier. Content is never perfect. The content that takes 5 minutes to make and put out there does way better than the content that takes an hour to create. And I would say what I take from that is that by being yourself and putting yourself out there on a whim, that's what people love. They love who you are. And so there's definitely loads and loads of top tips, like batch making content. Make content when you're in a really good mood. Like, don't try and make content when you're having a bad day. Make it when you feel good, when you feel like, yes, I am going to do this. these people will want to work with me. I am good at what I do. Make content on those days and save that for the days where you don't feel good and post it then. So there's loads of tips about like batch making content, different hashtags, all of that stuff. But actually, a lot of the work to do with content is on the inside. It's actually way less about the actual content.
Absolutely, yeah. Some great tips there, and yeah, your first 50 videos is going to be terrible, so you may as well get them done as soon as you can. You just got to start on the journey, and you'll get better. And at the beginning, it's more about quantity than quality. Don't worry about the quality. Don't worry about your background and the quality of your phone and all that kind of stuff. Just get through the first 25, 50 videos, and after that, you'll improve every single time, just like with anything. So
I think to Suzanne as well. If you were really, really keen to do like a little Instagram reel and you were absolutely terrified, you don't feel creative, go to my Instagram, copy one of mine and do it word for word. Like, that's the biggest form of flattery. Copy something that I've done and do it again, and then let that see how you feel. Because I think there's so many different elements to like imposter syndrome telling you that you're not good enough. And as well as putting yourself out on there on video, you don't want to be worrying about like, is this funny? Is this in the right place? Like, go and copy one of mine.
Brilliant, excellent. So lots of nuggets there in terms of video and social media to grow your business. Let's move on a little bit and talk about your team. So I know you've gone from 0 to what is it, 8, 9 members of staff now. So talk to us a bit about that in terms of how is your practice set up? How did you go about? I know you mentioned that most of your recruits came from organically from the stuff that you've been putting out. So how are you building your team? What kind of structure have you got? And when did you decide to bring on board additional members to your team? So we can give some nuggets on that particular front.
Yeah, of course. This is something that, like, actually, as a small practice owner, I did lots of research on. And as business partners, we've always tried to work out, like, what's the sweet spot? Is there a number? Like, is it per so many clients or per so many pounds of fees? This is when you need the next person. And there's definitely numbers and metrics that you can use to help you, but they'll be different for every practice. And so if you are reading things and listening to things where people are talking about a number of clients, my top tip would be to never forget that the value of your clients is different for every business. And so if your niche, for example, is really high level consultancy work, you'll probably need a new member of staff for every 5 clients. Whereas somebody that focuses on really small sole traders, their fees are going to be way lower, and they'll need a new member of staff probably for every 60 or 70 clients. And so be really careful when you are listening to other stuff that you understand the difference between number of clients and actually the volume of fees, because that's really important and can go very wrong, I think, if you try and copy and paste somebody else's. So this time last year, we hired our first ever employee. James and I, neither of us went to university. We both studied from apprentices all the way up. Even the MBA I've just done was through the apprenticeship scheme as well. And so I'm a huge advocate for apprenticeships, for actually giving people the headspace and the well-being as an employer to grow and scale and like have that safe place to learn and get better and grow with us. So every single person that we've taken on is either studying or is an apprentice. So we are very, very proud of that. Their well-being as well. I can't tell you enough that we pay 10% over the going rate that they would be able to get anywhere else. And we have a really, really key focus on well-being. So we do workations where we fly everybody to the south of France and just work there for a week, because actually vitamin D is a thing that accountants are quite good at not getting. And we have an employee assistance program, so everybody has access to therapy and talking space if they need it, which is probably, you might feel like that's a year ahead of where you are now, but it's really important to have those things as part of your business plan and to actually incorporate them into your profit margins, because clients care. Clients care how you're treating your staff. And so when I have new client or prospect calls, it's really important that I tell them that, because that's why I am priced a certain way, is because I deliver a certain thing, not only to the client, but also to the team that I have around me. And so it's really important that you understand who you are as a potential client, but also that you understand who you are as an employer. And so employee well-being and supporting them has been a really huge part of our growth. So our general rule is that we've basically hired an accountant for every, I think, £70,000 worth of fees that we're taking on. Obviously, it is a very chicken and egg situation, and they do this quite often, which means the profit margins grow and contract depending on whereabouts you are. But for us, that's been the really, really sweet spot. Again, we've never paid for recruitment. And so I think that's actually a part of social media that's quite often overlooked by other accountants. Like, we have never paid for recruitment. We have some of the best talent in the industry knocking our door down to come and be next on the lineup. So at any given time, we normally have our next 3 hires lined up in the pipeline, ready to hand in their notice. So watch out, everybody that is not recruiting on social media, because we'll be taking them. But yes, I think the recruitment side of it is a really big point. Like, use your social media to be an advocate for the next generation of accountants, but also leverage that to never pay recruitment fees, because you want them to want to work for you. You shouldn't be going out and looking for them. And so that's a really, really cool aspect of it as well. I hope that answers your question. It's a very vague question, but if anyone has more specific questions, please do just ask in the comments. I'd love to answer them for you.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And it's pleasing to hear that social media is having a wider impact and benefit for you over and above just raising awareness and generating inquiries. It's actually working for you to generate inquiries from talent out there, which for many accountants, that is one of the big bugbears. One of the big problems that accountants have and challenges is to actually recruit good staff, to actually hire good caliber talent. And one way of doing that, as you've clearly demonstrated and proven, is to get out there, to kind of showcase what you're all about, be vulnerable, show your kind of personality, show what it's like to work in your practice, and share that kind of culture and your passion for well-being. And who wouldn't want to work in an environment like that, where they get to go to the south of France to amazing stuff. Fantastic. Okay, well, we've got a few minutes left, about 3 or 4 minutes left. So if you've got any final questions, please put them to Rachel now, or forever hold your breath. Let's move on to kind of closing this conversation, and talk to me about where do you see the next 12 months for StriveX?
Oh, juicy question. Okay, so we have no plans to slow down. We have changed our business model slightly in terms of the doors being open 24/7 and anyone being able to book a meeting into. We're now on a waiting list because we have such high demand. We have about nearly 100 people on the waiting list at any given time. And so we're now doing 4 intakes a quarter so that we can recruit and open the doors and close the doors really, really effectively. That's been a huge change in the business, and it was a very scary decision to make. So when I first started, it was, oh my God, am I ever going to get a client? And now it's, oh my God, I've got so many clients, I don't know what to do with it. And how do we do this in an effective way? That to have the doors closed in January, I cannot tell you, it now means that when we open them again in February, we've got a list of people who understand the brand, people who want to work with us, people that are willing to wait for us, and people that aren't stressful January people. And so it's really, really cool to have got to a waiting list section, and we collaborate hugely with other accountants. And so all of the DMs that I'm getting right now, so we normally get 25 DMs a day of people looking to speak with us and looking to become a client. And so we work with other accountants to give them the leads, because if we can't match the person, I would really love to be able to pass that on to somebody that I trust, because those prospectives trust me. And so we don't have plans to slow down, but we have just sort of adopted a new business model of the waiting list structure. We have some very exciting news coming later in the year. So we're actually launching our 3rd business. So I have my personal brand, I have the accountancy practice, and we're launching a new business. So keep your eyes peeled. Follow me on all of the social media platforms if you'd like to be the first to know what that is. But yeah, I think it's a very interesting point to be in the business where you have to shift. Scaling isn't profitable, it's hard, and it can feel very, very difficult, and it can feel like you've got no idea what's going on. And so now we've been scaling for a year. Our focus this year is actually, how can we make sure that we are inducting our staff in the right way? Is every single member of staff delivering what we're selling? That's really important too. Not only to scaling, but actually maintaining that level of scale. And so our business shift this year, really, our plans for 2022 are to continue with growth, but sort of have it more in control. And we are not reacting, we're being proactive with open the doors, close the doors, hire, stop hiring, open the doors, close the doors, hire, stop hiring. And so that feels great as a business owner, to be in control of it and to be driving it rather than to feel like it's driving you. We have got our other business, which is launching. So keep your eyes peeled. And yeah, I've just finished my master's degree, and so I've already got itchy feet. So watch this space with what I do next.
Fantastic. That's superb. Amazing to hear that. And I'm sure many have taken inspiration from what you've talked about. We'll take this final question, if you can answer this one from Roz, which was, what were the most difficult bits of a rapid growth that you've seen over the last year?
Yeah, of course. Hi, Roz. It's lovely to meet you. Again, I feel like everybody says this, and I used to listen to people say it and be like, I'm a people person, that won't be my problem. It is hiring and people, and you go from having this dream to, like, my dream was always to build a business that I would like to work for. So James and I actually met at work. It's the only way accountants meet each other, because we don't have a social life, but we met at work, and we met at a top 100, and it was toxic. It was really, really bad. And I had this dream of becoming an employer that I would want to work for. And yeah, people, to go from just having that dream to within 12 months it happening and there being a team of like 9 of you is terrifying, and nobody teaches you how to do that bit. Like, I've done the whole MBA, I've read all of the books, and it's still hard. And that's because, I guess, as accountants, we like a formula, and there actually isn't a formula to having a great team and building a great culture. But I would definitely say that we are doing great things into like overcoming that. And I feel like a lot of the questions have been kind of surrounding being an introvert. And that all feeds into leading a team, getting out on social media. I definitely encourage you to check out my TED Talks. My TED Talk was all about how to, as an introvert, grow a successful business, because it's so hard and you have to protect yourself and your own well-being so much more delicately than people who love putting themselves out there. So yeah, definitely staff and hiring has been really, really difficult, mainly because I'm a control freak and it's out of my control. But yeah, that's definitely the hardest bit. But thank you, Rob, for your question so much.
Amazing. No, that's great, and thank you for sharing that. And I hope, if you've been listening today, that you've got some value out of today's session. Great to hear your vision for what the next 12 months will bring. And yeah, I love some of the ideas that you've shared for other accountants in terms of how to grow. And great to hear that you've got a waiting list, not just for new clients, but also for potential hires as well, which I think would be the dream for many accountants. So if you're listening on replay, if you've got any questions, I'm sure if you just put them in the comments and tag Rachel, she will be more than happy to answer, I'm sure, with her generous nature as and when she gets around to it. But otherwise, thank you for attending today's session. I appreciate you taking the time out from busy January season, busy tax return season. Thank you so much, Rachel, for coming along today and sharing your journey and your words of wisdom from the last 12 months, where you have achieved exceptional growth. And I hope and pray that the next 12 months is as good, if not better, than the last 12 months for you. So thanks once again, everybody. If there's any questions, put them in afterwards, or if you listen to replay, put them in the comments and we'll try and get to them. But otherwise, have a fantastic rest of the day, fantastic January, and I'll catch up with you again soon.
Bye, everybody.